There's one mistake that leads to more dropped motorcycles than any other. This week on MCrider, we'll talk about that mistake and some tips to help you avoid it. Thankfully, most unintentional dismounts from a motorcycle are not the result of serious crashes. More often than not, most sideways motorcycles are the result of simple drops. Injuries from drops are much less common, with perhaps the biggest threat is from getting your leg caught under the motorcycle as it lays down for a nap. More than one rider has broken their leg or ankle or foot in these types of drops. So my advice is, if the motorcycle's going over and you've got doubts about whether or not you can save it, just get your legs out of the way and practice picking the motorcycle up after the fact. It may save you an injury to the lower leg. There are a lot of ways that riders can drop their motorcycle, and I've seen all of these at one time or another out on the training range. They come from getting out of balance, pushing the motorcycle. They can come from forgetting to put the side stand down when they come to a stop and dismount the motorcycle, or trying to mount the motorcycle with the side stand already up. I've seen that as well also. And even forgetting to put their feet down when they come to a stop. Yes, I've seen a few overwhelmed riders who are trying to learn forget to put their feet down when they stop on the motorcycle, and they tumble slowly right over in front of me. But the most likely cause is having the handlebars turned slightly when the motorcycle comes to a stop. If the handlebars are turned, and especially if the rider's actively using the front brake at the time of the stop, the motorcycle's going to want to fall over in the direction that the handlebars are turned. So here are some tips to help keep this from happening to you. The first has to do with balance at the stop, and the best way to maintain your balance at the stop is keeping your head and eyes up. So the best way to understand this is to look down directly at your feet, stand up, and try to walk across the floor, and then walk across the floor as you normally would with your head and eyes up. You'll notice you've got more balance, a whole lot more balance, if your head and eyes are up rather than looking down at your feet. Well, when new riders get on a motorcycle, the first thing they want to do, they're looking down at the training cones, they're looking at the clutch or the throttle or the front brake, and the motorcycle is out of balance. Another thing that happens a lot in a training class is you've got a rider coach standing over to the left or the right. First thing the rider does when they come to a stop is they look at that rider coach, and the motorcycle wants to lean over in that direction. So keep your head and eyes up, looking across the parking lot. It's going to give you a whole lot more balance when you come to a stop. The next tip I've got for you is keeping a relaxed grip on the handlebars. Think of holding the hand grips on the motorcycle like holding a raw egg in your hand. If you would squeeze the grip so tightly that if it was a raw egg, it would bust in your hand or you'd be a threat of busting it, you want to relax your grip on the hand grip. So you want a nice relaxed grip. Think of holding a raw egg in your hand as you're holding onto the grip. You also want your arms and shoulders relaxed, your upper torso relaxed. You're not holding on to the motorcycle by the handlebars. You've got a relaxed grip on the handlebars. You're holding the motorcycle with your knees and your knees under the tank. That's where you grip onto the motorcycle, not with the handlebars, because any movement in your upper torso is going to translate into the handlebars, and it's not going to allow the handlebars or that front tire to adjust as the motorcycle needs to when accelerating, going around corners, and when coming to a stop. It's important that riders develop the muscle memory of using the front and the rear brake when they come to a stop on a motorcycle. When you initially begin that stop, it's important that you're using the front and the rear brake. The front tire is going to provide, depending on the motorcycle, it could be 90-95% of your stopping power. But in an emergency, do you want to give up 10% of your stopping power? Well, I don't. I want 100% of my stopping power when I come to a stop. And you initiate that. You initiate the stop by being smooth with that front brake and applying pressure on that rear brake also. But one important tip for more advanced riders, after you've developed the muscle memory of front and rear brake every time, when you come to a stop, if you'll ease off the front brake and finish the stop with the rear brake, so maybe the last 5 miles per hour, the last 5-10 feet of your stop, if you'll use just the rear brake, that's going to keep some weight off of the front end of the motorcycle, and it's going to make the motorcycle handlebars stay more square when you come to a stop. especially if you're stopping on a surface that's not totally level. So if it leans to the left or the right, that front tire is going to want to follow the path of that lean. And if you're applying heavy braking to that front tire, it's going to make it want to drift in that direction even more. That's turning your handlebars. Then when the motorcycle comes to a stop, especially if you've got a lot of pressure on that front brake, you're compressing the forks. The motorcycle is really going to want to fall over in that direction under those scenarios. So you can lessen that by using the rear brake when you come to a stop. That's going to keep some weight. Let me correct that. Using the rear brake when you finish the stop, you initiate with the front and the rear brake, but the last 5 feet or so, it's okay to finish with just the rear brake under normal stopping conditions. So 2 tips here. If you finish your stop using the rear brake under a normal stop at a stop sign, that's going to keep some weight off the front tire, and also being aware of the road conditions. If the road leans left or right, the motorcycle handlebars or the tire is going to want to turn in that direction, and you can correct some of that by applying a little pressure to the hand grip to help keep the handlebars straight, and by keeping weight off that front tire by using just the rear brake for the last 5 miles per hour or 5 to 10 feet of your stop. Of course, in an emergency situation, you want all the stopping power you can get. The most important thing is getting that motorcycle to a stop. So in those scenarios, you're using that front and rear brake all the way through the stop to get the motorcycle stopped in the shortest distance possible. So if you come to a stop and let's say the road is slanted left or right and the handlebars start to turn slightly, and you feel like you're going to lose the motorcycle, it's going to fall over, what can you do in those situations? Well, if you've got enough room in front of you, you can give it a little bit of gas, ease out on the clutch, because forward momentum is your friend. And if you give it a little bit of gas, ease out on that clutch into the friction zone, motorcycle's going to move forward and it's going to correct itself and straighten itself back up. So you can easily do that if you've got room in front of you. You know, you're not directly behind the car that's stopped in front of you. If you've got room to do so, just ease out on that clutch, give it a little bit of gas. That forward momentum is going to help pick the motorcycle back up. It's always more difficult to ride a motorcycle slow than fast, and because of this, riders need to practice their slow speed skills on a regular basis, and that's going to keep you from having a lot of these drops. I've written a field guide that can help with that. The MCrider field guide has training exercises in it that can be practiced on any open parking lot. So let me open up here. This is a cornering exercises. Turn from a stop in our field guide here. You can practice these on any open parking lot. The exercise have a description, an exercise layout, directions, coaching tips, problem corrections, and a QR code that leads you to a video that demonstrates the technique that you're working on. You can practice this on any open parking lot. You can get a copy of the field guide at mcrider.com/fgbook, or you can get immediate access in a digital version of the field guide, the forums, and even more by becoming a member of MCrider at mcrider.com/member. Also at mcrider.com, you'll find every video I've ever produced for MCrider over the last 7 years, and my goal to help riders become better, safer riders out on the street. Till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. There's a whole lot more to MCrider than just the weekly videos. Go to mcrider.com/member. You'll get instant access to the forums and the field guide. You can get ad-free MCrider videos and a whole lot more. Go to mcrider.com/member for all the details.